This is Greg Hildebrandt. I've been a professional artist for 62 years. I've done a lot of artwork in that time, and I'm still just trying to get it right.
Greg, how are you, sir?
Greetings and hallucinations.
Yes, greetings and hallucinations every week, right? So we've got some people already chiming in, so you can say hello to those people as well, Greg.
Hi, folks. How are you? Look at, we've got the picture. I've got the picture up that I finished. We had it up last week. We were working on it, and I finished it since then. And here it is. So we just wanted to show it. I've got a couple of teeny little things I want to work on, not now, but I will be working on tomorrow to finish the whole thing off. But the gentleman who I did the painting for okayed it, and so that looks good so far. All right?
Very good, man.
So I'm going to get...
So go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to go get the Godzilla picture, put it up here, and then we can start to talk about that. I'll be right back. Just a second.
Awesome.
So we'll just put that piece of foam core up there. And
Cameron Leader says that the Lady Death looks amazing, Greg.
Oh, thank you. Well, here's the Godzilla, slightly at an angle to the camera, but this is the let me take the sketch here. Here's the actual drawing that I did to get the approval from the gentleman who commissioned me to paint this. If Godzilla fighting Tiamat, the five-headed dragon from Dungeons and Dragons. So that's the particular setup that I came up with. Cool. And here we are.
All right. So you had the original drawing. That's what you had showing us in front of the camera, right?
Right. So
what are we looking at right there?
This I did on my copy machine. I blew the drawing up to the size of the actual painting, which is probably about 15%, 10 to 15%, I forgot exactly, bigger than the sketch. So I blew it up on the copy machine and taped those sheets together and flopped it down onto the canvas, the black canvas underneath. And that's the actual, so the whole picture we painted across the whole thing. And I don't know if you can see it, but I've transferred it all already. It's very, that probably
very faint. No.
Yeah. I put after I did this, I put a piece of transfer paper, white transfer paper. Then I go over it with a ballpoint pen and trace the whole thing out onto the thing and roll this back up. But I just want to talk about the composition for a minute, though, right? The setup.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, you know, this gentleman's commissioned, what, 40 artists so far, I think, to do paintings and drawings of Godzilla. He's a big Godzilla fan. And so, let me move this a little bit. And he has requests of each artist. Like, I haven't looked at them all. I don't like to look at too many pictures. I hardly looked at anything at all. I don't want to look at other artists' renderings because that, you know, how that might have an impact. So, but I did look at one of the pictures that he showed, and it was really cute. It was like he requested this one artist, a watercolorist, very delicate, to paint Godzilla in watercolor, having tea with the Jabberwocky, which is very cute, you know. So this one, he requested Godzilla to be fighting with this particular dragon, this five-headed dragon. And so now, I did.
What is the five-headed dragon from again?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
Right, I was totally unaware of the character, you know, until he requested it. So we looked it all up and found out about it and everything. Here's images I printed right there. Okay. You know. So each head is a different color. Each neck and head. The central dragon is red, and that's her. It's a female dragon. That's her particular. That's her here. Then so I had Godzilla. I knew my focus was going to be on Godzilla. I wanted him in this particular position. I knew that right off the bat. You know, as far as the primary center of interest.
Yep.
Boom, right there. And then I knew, well, the dragon now has to fit into this And how am I going to do that? Well, you start to just do draw. This thing is tilting over, and and I kind of I like this kind of composition for this thing because let me just draw some lines on it. It does a kind of like a pyramidical shape, which is I think strong for this kind of thing. If you have that pyramid shape, but it's also circular. See the wings here? They
Yep.
circle. They circle Godzilla. You see? So you got
Yep.
this pyramid or triangle. You've got a circle circling the thing compositionally within this picture plane, which is almost square, not quite. It's a rectangle going this way. So you got the rectangle, the triangle, and the circle, which kind of like hopefully is the kind of composition.
Yeah. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that part. Yep.
And then you figure, so Gene was kind enough. This guy gave me the gentleman gave me a choice of what Godzilla I wanted. I could do the original Godzilla from 1954, which is the one I saw when I was 13 years old in the theater, and became a Godzilla fan ever since. Or any of the other ones, and I like the present day digital one. I think he's beautifully designed and he's fantastic. So Gene got me this nice little toy that it moves around and stuff. And what I did with it after I established my composition.
Are you showing them your Godzilla toy?
Yes, I am.
God, you're such a child.
And then what I did with it was this. I have colored lights that I then set the Godzilla up and shot pictures of it in different lighting conditions that I want. See, the atomic breath color of the bluish white here, blasting this way, will light up, and then I had to turn the figure at all these different angles because it's a plastic solid thing. I just kept shooting it in all these different positions to get the light the way it would fall on the tail and on the feet and all over the place. And so I'll use that as a guide. And obviously he's twisted and more realistic than that, and he'll be stretching and stuff like that. And then get the real Godzilla pictures. So I have all this pile of stuff that I'm looking at. So I
Yeah.
shot all that, and then also I have a bunch of dragons. Who did the dragon collection, Gene?
Oh, the Danbury Mint.
The Danbury Mint did a bunch of dragons and used our artwork in these dragons. So not that these dragons are these particular dragon is the dragon I'm painting, but I was able to just shoot, what the hell is it? The heads of the dragons to light them up for the lighting that I want. So you can see that's this guy here. She'll be getting blasted on the neck, so you see the white light, blue light underneath, and then she's shooting out a flame out of her mouth, her last breath, so to speak. So I wanted that yellow light, which will be, on the top of Godzilla, all down here, you see. So it's so I got a lot of reference that I put together.
Very interesting.
And now look at, as we talked about. So I'll roll that position, and I roll that up and keep the drawing up there in case I need to retransfer something. So it's registered,
Okay, so the drawing is attached. You have it, the canvas attached to a foam core.
Foam core taped onto the foam core, and then the paper is taped onto the foam core, and I just keep it there permanently until I'm finished with the painting. In case I got to flop it down and retransfer. In here, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got a little tiny figure in the bottom here just to give a scale. A guy looking around the corner of the, one of the rocks down in the corner here. So I don't know. Here we are. So what the hell do we do next?
I got a side question. I think I know the answer to this, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I know Tim did some work for TSR in the Dungeons and Dragons stuff.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s. Did you ever do anything directly for TSR?
No, we didn't. I didn't. Tim did. That's when we started to work separately.
Yep. Okay. So, we've been talking about this over the last several weeks now, of where you starting off with that base black canvas. Well, it's a Mars black mixed with dioxazine purple.
Two layers of Mars black, very thinly applied. Mars black is almost ink-like in its blackness. It's really cool. Washed on, very thin, and then let it dry, and then put on a layer of dioxazine purple on the top of that. So
Okay.
all the darks are in the picture already. You can't get any darker
And then,
than this. So, you know,
and then you talked about you like working that way, and you like turning the lights on first, so to speak.
yeah. So here, I haven't even applied the paint to the canvas yet. I mixed them all up this little while ago. Not all the colors, but I mixed this series of white to see the white over here, pile of white
Yes.
paint. The next pile of paint is white, titanium white with phthalocyanine blue, which is a yellow blue, which is moving towards a yellower center, even though I'm not going to use any yellow in this because Godzilla's atomic breath seems to be no yellow in it. Let's put it that way. So then the next pile of blue here is ultramarine and white. It's getting darker. And then I had a bigger pile of this. I took half of it and put it over here and then put dioxazine purple into that to make it's all moving towards purple. So it's going from literally yellow to red in a sense around the color wheel. You know what I'm saying? Is that clear? Keith? Keith is frozen. So anyway, here, that's the series of blues for Godzilla's breath. And then for the dragon's breath, I mixed this series of colors. So there's cadmium yellow light, cadmium yellow medium, cadmium orange, cadmium red light, cadmium red light with magenta in it, magenta with purple in it. So it's moving from yellow to red to blue again. That's the way that works. Now, what I'm going to do is start to slap some paint up here, which is kind of like something that I've never done live before. Generally, when I'm painting, even at a show, I'll only paint if the picture's underway already at home here. And I know I've got it all established, so I'm just kind of like working it. Here, I'm beginning it, so it's a little more anxiety provoking. So, but here, that's just straight white. Did you hear me all the while, Keith?
Okay. I was listening to you, and I could still hear you, but then I froze up, so I went
Yeah.
out and came back in.
All right, so there's white in the middle and then phthalocyanine blue on the edge of that. So, you know, I really am just kind of like, and there's, I got to find some Godzilla breath here.
Okay. Now I had a question. I was getting ready to ask this when I froze up. The phthalocyanide blue, does any of that blue go into that ultramarine and white mixture,
Yeah.
or does it?
Yeah, no, they blend. These are just solid piles of paint here that there will be halfway colors. I'll take that, mix that together. This will be mixed together here. And then that's a color of just purple and white. The purple has been put into, this blue has been put here and purple has been squeezed into it. Then I mixed up a pile of lighter value purple, white, because with all these colored lights, the center where let's say where the yellowy and the reddish and the blue lights merge, it'll go purple. If you look at lighting, you know what I mean, like in theater and whatnot. If you see the two spotlights cross over, you know, a red light and a yellow light or blue light cross over like that, that center section right there goes purple. It's a new color. You don't take the blue and mix it with the red paint, because if you do, it'll turn to mud. You literally have to mix up a new color, straight purple and white. But it's got to be the right value. Is that clear?
Yeah. Okay. That's a very handy bit of information there that you can't just mix those two.
No, it'll
You
turn
have
to
to
mud.
mix up the two colors.
And
Okay.
the thing is, that's something, you observe. I observed that by looking at lighting in shows. Like, you know, like TSO say, they use so much colored light. Just take a look where the lights cross over each other, beams of light. You'll see it's a different color there, you know?
Yeah.
Then, of course, all colored lights, red, blue, yellow, purple, green, orange, if all were aimed at one spot on the stage, it's a white light. It all goes white. As opposed to paint, which is opaque. If you took all those colors and mixed them up, it'll turn to darkish, grayish, blackish, brown.
Yeah.
Just the opposite. It won't go to, opaque is
Yep.
one thing. Like now you're trying to fake light with this opaque stuff, this goopy, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
So this guy's
So
got a shape to that blast, which I'm there. Here. I like some of these reference things that you get. It's all flopping all over the place. There's a Godzilla breath blast there. There's a kind of a Godzilla blast there. I like the way it swirls in some of this art. I don't know what I'll do with it yet. Of course, when you go to the movie, it's just a white thing,
beam, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of fiery, ragged edge to it. See what the hell happens. I don't know. That's the fun of it.
So we got a couple people saying, thank you for sharing this part of the process. They appreciate it. People saying it's looking good. Got some familiar faces coming into the group. Got Dean 13 and Adrian Wagner and some other people that seem to tune in weekly. So we appreciate that, everyone.
Fantastic.
And
Thank you.
if you have any questions at all for Greg, any comments, whatever, please type them into the chat and we will address them.
So this is the white. I'm going to try to keep. See the white here? I'm just going to try to keep it in the fire where it gets the hottest, and refrain from using it straight anywhere else. So that's what gives the illusion that it's light. That it's lit up.
Yeah. So
and this kind of thing here, well, Godzilla's color, he's a sort of a neutral color, more or less a gray, So he'll pretty much take all the color as though he's a neutral object. He'll become more or less the color of all the light that's on him. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And the funny thing about this was a commission for a long time right now, Gene, right?
Yeah.
And we've been planning to do this live. We postponed it a couple of times. And suddenly I realized, oh my God, Godzilla versus Kong just came out yesterday, which is kind of. And I watched it. Needless to say, I watched it and I loved it. And you're talking about colored light. Holy crap! I don't want to give anything away. It's like fantastic.
In the trailer, you see that they're in. I'm assuming that's downtown Tokyo with all the neon.
Hong Kong.
They're in Hong Kong.
Yeah, Hong Kong gets it this time. I don't know if Hong Kong's ever got flattened before, has it? I don't think so.
That I know of.
Well, it got flattened this time.
Oh, spoilers, man.
I'm not spoiling anything. I'm not giving it away.
I'm joking.
Well, you see, I'm just using the ultramarine blue now.
We can assume that much, right?
Yeah.
So Elijah says that he lives in a desert and has problems keeping his colors wet. Do regional areas ever present problems for you? I guess keeping your paintings wet.
You mean you're talking ultramarine? You're talking acrylic, right? He's talking acrylic paint, obviously.
He's talking acrylic, yes.
I use this plant mister with water, and I just spray the paint down over on my palette every once in a while. You put a layer of paint on the palette, it keeps the paint wet.
Yep.
Not too much, just spray it down every once in a while. Now here, so there's ultramarine blue there, and that'll be moving into the purple range here, which I'm sure you can't even see from that angle, can you? Or can you? I don't know.
Uh, if someone's watching on a big screen, they might be able to see it quite well. For me, I'm on my phone, so
Yeah.
it's a little bit smaller.
Well, let me see here. Uh, Now, of course, to me, ideal. One of the ideal dragon breath references is, of course, the good old flamethrower. You know,
Yep.
which is the magic of the internet. Just
Have
find
Have you
anything.
purchased one of those for a prop yet?
Oh,
Just so you can
a
really get
flamethrower?
the
I'd like to have
yeah.
one. So here's kind of, I think that I'll go in that direction, sort of with the dragon breath. The thing is, I'm wondering though, it's like he's getting blasted in his throat here, you see, or she is. I keep saying he. She's getting blasted in her throat here. Obviously, not the head's not flying off, but I'm imagining that it's just hitting, striking across her throat, like that.
Yeah.
And Gene, there's something up here that says, "Remind me later." Uninstall. There's a picture in the middle of the screen.
No one else can see it.
Oh, okay. And so, like, she's getting zapped with the atomic breath there. Let me get my pictures here. So I'm figuring that now this is cadmium orange here. No, I can't paint with bigger brush right now. I'm not doing this stuff.
So are you painting like around teeth and everything like that, Greg?
No, I'm just blocking the teeth. I'm not in detail. I'm just kind of blocking it in here. I'll paint the inside of the mouth here, just with cadmium orange right now. That's the mid-range value color. And I'm wondering whether she should be gasping sort of like her last breath, kind of like thing. You're thinking of the story and what the hell the action is while you're painting and drawing, right? What's happening? Yeah. What's the expression on these guys' faces? Like this one here, he's getting choked. You can see it. Godzilla's got his arm around the neck like that, and it's like kind of the tongue is squirting out. And I'm gonna make puffs of smoke, like that kind of thing, So, but here, I wonder. I don't know.
People are quite surprised that you don't own a flamethrower yet. And like Adrian assumes that you and Paul O'Neill would have made that happen somewhere along the way.
I would like to have a flamethrower, and I would like to have the diving suits out of Disney's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. No connection to each other, except that they're here. Look at. So should this kind of like go like this, like it's the last? Wait a minute. Like it's the last. Some guy asked me once, I was at a show painting. Is that what you do, is copy photographs?
Just tell them, yeah.
Yeah, see what I'm doing?
Well, is this your first Godzilla commission, Greg?
Yeah, very first time in all these years. 1954, come on. I've never done Godzilla before. It's like one of those things that's always in the back of your head, I mean, come on. He's a major dude. Like, all those Toho films, I went nuts for that stuff. Because I was totally hung up on special effects. It was either animation or special effects. And it reached an apex with George Pal's War of the Worlds in 1952 at the magnificent thing with the ships, the Martian machines designed by Al Nozaki, who was one of the artist designers for DeMille's 10 Commandments. And he worked there at Paramount. And he was fantastic, Mr. Nozaki. and I got hung up on special effects then, and then then the Toho films, all those Rodin, I mean, the Mysteria, all that stuff. The miniatures were freaking amazing. They built a whole city, and I can still remember that scene in Rodin the Flying Monster where he's flapping his wings, and every shingle and every brick in the building is falling apart. It wasn't like they cast a miniature all with one solid wall. They laid all the damn bricks. These guys, they're fantastic. And the other thing I liked about that stuff, being younger like that, is you could see, because of the depth of field of the photography. You know, when you talk depth of field, I'm talking about when you're shooting a miniature. You know, and there's something in the there's the main thing. There's Godzilla, what, in his costume. He's about 6 feet tall, the guy in the suit, approximately. And you've got little trucks in the foreground here. You know, you got trucks in the foreground. This way, I gotta.
Yeah.
And the camera's down here by the trucks, and the trucks are out of focus. Notice that in some trees.
Yes.
But in reality, of course, that truck and those trees would be 20, 30, 40 feet away from you, so there would be nothing out of focus. A lens, a camera with, we'll say a 10 millimeter, 25 millimeter lens will have everything in focus. So that's a dead giveaway that it's a miniature, you know?
Yeah.
And I used to like that because it looked like these were toys. There was something very appealing about that, you know? And now, with the digital stuff, with buildings and everything, my God, the detail of the collapsing and it's overwhelming. Anyway, but I was totally hung up by the effects, special effects. And, you know, you look at it now, you go to Wikipedia and you look up special effects. And I just happened to do it this morning, just kind of like, you know, check things out. And it starts with, these were tricks. These are tricks. They refer to special effects as tricks.
That's tricks.
Tricks. Like the whole movie is not a special effect. You know what I'm saying? It's a trick. As opposed to brilliant design, craftsmanship, right? List all the stuff. It's a trick.
A trick.
Some trick.
It's something cheap.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it sound less than something. The interesting thing back in the day of Godzilla and all the special effects movies I got hung up on in the 50s, you know, the Martian invasion stuff and all those things, you could never find any information out about them because the studios wanted to maintain the illusion that all that stuff was real. You know, you don't want to give away that the Martian machines in the World of Worlds are about a little over 3 feet wide. And in the city of Los Angeles that they're destroying, that street scene, is everything built in scale. So the buildings are only like 5 feet tall and 4 feet tall. They don't want to reveal that. So Tim and I we would go to the library because that's the only way that you could find stuff out back in the day. There was no internet, obviously. And we'd spend weekends in the library researching. We'd go through all the card files for all the magazines, all the books, to see if we could find something. And sometimes you'd end up, like with Popular Mechanics, they'd be allowed behind the scenes for this one glimpse. And there was like a War of the Worlds article I remember seeing, and a When Worlds Collide, George Pell did that in, 51, I think. And that was a revelation. And anyway, I digress. So I don't know. Should this kind of like, you know, like the last breath sort of like thing? It isn't really coming out of the throat. It's like it got stopped. It's like, you know what I mean? It got halted somehow. Does that work or not? You know, I wonder. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you got to think like if it's getting halted, you know, it's getting weaker. So just like at the end of a flamethrower, you know, the wind is catching part of it and it's drifting into the a distance of the wind, right?
Yeah.
David Salcho, sorry if I mispronounced your last name there. I am not exactly sure what you're referring to. So if you want to elaborate more on your comment, then we can discuss.
What's that?
Well, he asked if we need to cut a check to Toho when we're finished, or just pretend that it didn't happen. So
Check to Toho. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure
I don't think
where he's.
you're fading away and you're disappearing again. Gene,
Yeah.
a gentleman wants to know whether or not we have to cut a check to Toho because I'm painting this picture.
No.
Of course not. Not at all. But here, I'm painting that's cadmium red light I'm painting on the top of Godzilla's head.
Yeah. So I was hoping he would elaborate a little bit about.
So Keith, did you answer that question?
I answered. I said no.
Well, that's not an answer.
See the red on top of the, so you get this, and then there's going to be light underneath also, which will be coming. There's all fire in the distance. Wait a minute.
Keith, is that gentleman still on that had the copyright question? Is he still there?
Hello. Can you hear me again, Greg?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Today's going to be one of those days. The wind is blowing in a certain direction, so therefore my connection is shoddy.
Can you still see that question, Keith?
The question's gone, but he has now replied that he got his answer and says thank you.
Okay.
So he seems like he was not aware that you could do a one-off painting and sell it as a commission,
Okay. So,
as opposed to if you were to do this and make prints.
Okay, good. Because I was going to say you need to clarify that whole issue of that you're not making any copies for sale.
Yep.
You're making an original interpretation of an idea of two characters fighting, and the person who owns this in the end only has the right to own the original art, no copyright, and no right to make a print and sell it. And neither does Greg.
See here, I'm painting on the bottom. There's going to be all fire on the horizon. See, this is the second picture I'm painting with a fiery horizon. The last one, of course, with Lady Death has all got the fiery horizon. But it just works for this. It seems to work for both of them, I think. But so you get all this, I'll get all flaming fire, shit flying into the air and everything like that, Not shit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And this is great stuff. I'm using the same reference here. This kind of oil fire,
Okay, cool.
very dramatic.
Yes.
Fantastic. The way those clouds billow and roll and everything. You want to get that sense of movement, Like you watch explosions and everything, and the way they move, it's like freaking amazing, There's a beauty to it.
Yeah.
There's a real beauty to that. And I don't want to sound like a pyromaniac, but there is a beauty to it,
Yes, I totally get where you're coming from on that. It's
it
is.
After we were hung up on, like I say again, back to special effects, but our parents moved. We lived in Detroit in a small town, in a small house on the east side, in a neighborhood type thing. And our parents, they bought a house in Rochester, Michigan, which is like 20 miles out of the city, which had 3 acres, nice bigger house. It had a small horse barn and a 2.5 car garage. Tim and I instantly took over the garage and built a miniature street scene in the top attic of the garage, like inspired by the War of the Worlds, and made a tripod machine out of balsa wood and everything, and built this miniature and made all of our own pyrotechnic for the film, which you could buy back then. I was in high school. I had I only had like, I was in my first year of high school, and you could literally, Tim and I called, we were again digging through all these magazines looking for how they did special effects. We'd see in the article on War of the Worlds that they used flash powder for the explosions. And we says, well, flash powder, what the hell is that? Flash, well, that's what stuff that photographers used to use in the old days. And then you research, oh, it's powdered magnesium is what it is. And well, we thought, well, where can you get that? And the logic led us to, if it's flash powder, they probably use it in the theater. So we went to the Yellow Pages in Detroit, looked up theatrical supply, found one, called the guy at the theatrical supply store in downtown Detroit, said, do you have any flash powder? And the guy said, yes, we do. So, oh, good. All right, well, we'll be there. So we got on a bus, went to 20 miles into the city.
How old were you guys?
First year of high school. What the hell are you? 14, 15 years old?
Yeah. Okay.
And we go downtown, go to this theatrical supply place, which is everything, lights, costume for theater, actually. And Detroit had several theaters. And we walked in, he says, you got flash powder? The guy says, oh, yeah. You know, and here's these two 14-year-old kids. And we go to the back, and there's this wooden cupboard about 4 or 5 feet across. And he's got a little lock on it. And he opens the lock up and opens it. And there's all these bottles of powdered magnesium. I mean, there were bottles about this big. And I don't know what the hell they were. I forgot what we paid. It wasn't that expensive. And he said, what do you want? I said, oh, can we have 6 bottles? And the guy, he said, well, what are you going to use it for? I said, oh, we're doing some projects for school and what. And they sold it to us. Can you imagine doing that today? I mean, and so, all right, so the magnesium, though, but you couldn't ignite it. We were experimenting with the miniature set that we built in the attic there of how to ignite it. And, you know, we made this complete the circuit control board where if you hit, there's a nail in the board, there's a piece of copper here, and this wire went through the set, and this wire came back and plugged it into the wall. If you touch it, it completed the circuit, and it ignited the copper filament out there on the set, which then, you know, detonated the explosion, whatever you had. And so, but the flash power would go, you know, and we were shooting. We had a 8mm Brownie camera, which only shot 16 frames a second. So everything, you know, when you're shooting miniatures, you have to shoot it in slow motion because fire looks like this. When it's a small miniature, you need to make it look like that. And you do that with slow motion, right? So if we got a slow motion camera, it was a Keystone, and it shot 48 frames a second. So we figured, all right, so we got to slow the explosion down. So we mixed our own gunpowder. That was another trip. We went to you had pharmacies that you could go to in the day where they had bins of stuff. You walk into the pharmacy. Give me a quart of sulfur or whatever. I forgot the amount. They put it in like a ball jar, a mason jar. Scoop it out, put the sulfur in it, and the guy says, you know, I said, my mother wants this for whatever she's using it for. And then we say, well, wait, do you have any saltpeter? And the guy said, oh, what are you going to use this for? He got it. So what we did, he wouldn't sell us either. We found another pharmacy, bought the sulfur there. Went to another pharmacy, bought the saltpeter there, and then mixed it with charcoal. So you mix those 3 elements. I'm not giving anything away. Anybody can find this shit out, right? And so we did, and then we discovered that powdered aluminum sparkled when it was off. That was really cool. Powdered zinc burned green. And then we got road flares, which were red. So we do our own pyro, and we built this set, and we shot it in slow motion. And I don't have the actual 8mm film anymore, but I've got some, you know, disc copies of it. And so we were really...
There is a way to still watch those films?
Yeah. One of these, probably, there's a documentary being done on it. This will probably be in the documentary on me. There's a documentary being done on me.
Very cool.
more than likely.
Yeah, I want to see those. I want to see what you guys were doing as kids.
Anyway, to me, this is like, and then special effects now. I mean, well, we met John Dykstra. You know, he was going to. We did our own graphic novel, our own novel, Ursharak, and John Dykstra got on board. The original Industrial Light and Magic man. He did the first Star Wars film, right? He came up with the Dykstra Flex camera. It's the first computerized camera, and they developed that for. He and his crew developed that for Star Wars, you know. So he was going to be on board to do the special effects and produce Ursharak. But it never worked out. You know, at that time, it just for whatever one reason or the other. But he was an incredible guy. He's done so much stuff. He's still working. He's still doing tons of stuff. I think he's done all of Quentin Tarantino's films. Anyway, so special effects.
Yeah, it would be very cool if someone now, now that streaming services are all doing these massive budget projects, it would be cool to see Ursharak get picked up and made now.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
Finally seeing that dream come to a fruition. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, it would be. But does
I was asking about Sword of Shannara prints and if that's ever a possibility. And yeah, I don't think so because of that being Terry Brooks.
Yeah, we don't. Terry Brooks owns that, not us. Yeah. Can you see what this looks like from a distance, Keith? Does it register?
For me, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got lots of pieces of paper here.
Yeah, if I have you a little bit zoomed out just so I could see all the comments and everything, but if people are watching full screen and things like that, yeah, we could see the face of the Godzilla and everything starting to light up.
So here he's going to be lit by his own breath here.
Now, Greg, I got a question for you, because you're dealing with the light source, like you said, you're turning on the lights right off the bat, so everything works. Now, when you start to deal with the stuff in the background, you just have to paint around all of that stuff. How careful are you?
Yeah,
in that process,
yeah, it doesn't matter. You paint into it, you paint over it, you paint the edges all over again. That's the beauty of this plastic paint. It just dries so fast. You can just keep. And then if it gets too built up, you just take a piece of sandpaper and sand down the edges. Duffy's Tavern, Archie, your manager speaking. Duffy isn't here right now. What can I do for you? Nobody knows what that is except me and people my age. It was an old radio show. That's how it always began. The phone would ring and this guy would answer the phone. Why does that shit stick in your head for so many years? That had to be like 1945.
Wow. It is remarkable that the dumbest, silliest stuff will stick in your head for a lifetime.
Yeah.
But important things just, that's the power. That's the power of advertising. I can sing a McDonald's jingle from when I was in elementary school.
There you go.
And
I can think of Pepsodent commercial. You'll wonder where the yellow went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. That kind of shit. Anyways, here, so you see the blue is lighting him all up, and you get him. Now, I observe with the films, at least, the new films, when he starts to blast away his what the hell ever you call these fins on his back start to light up sometimes too, right? So
Yeah.
they go blue, like his atomic breath. And now the problem will be, sort of, I think the problem, it's always, is when that red, cadmium red light and orange, it'll in tiny bit of yellow along the brightest part here, where it's the closest to the dragon breath, will reflect
Mm-hmm.
that yellow color. But as it moves down here, the blue will start to dominate. But where the blue meets the red orange color, I just can't mix the blue with the red orange because that'll turn to muck. It's going to have to
Yeah.
go, I think, to
Very gray purple, right?
yeah. What I need to do is to go to a separate color, I think, which is magenta. So I squeeze out the magenta, and now I got to get it to the right value by adding white to it, and so that it becomes a half. It's the value of it's going to be halfway between the brightest color of the blue on these fins and the brightest color of the orange. In that magenta will have to be the halfway color between the two of them, I think. You know?
Yep. Well, we're going to find out. If you don't know, we don't know.
Well, that's the thing about it,
You're going to show us.
You don't. The fun of painting a picture is never really. You think I figure you're in your head working it all out, and you're hoping it's going to work, but you don't really know if it is. You don't know it,
Yeah. I'm going to address a comment here. So, David, if Gene is the person who handles all of the stuff dealing with prints and all of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So if you want to email Gene, Jean, at spiderwebart.com, down there in the bottom left, you can see it. That bit of information, and I will relay to her more of what you were talking about. That would help us out, and then Jean can figure out if that's something that she would like to pursue. All right. Okay. Sorry about that, Greg.
All right.
He was just talking again about potential of sort of Shannara.
Yeah.
Okay. So how's the magenta working out?
Well, there. Can you see that? Can you zoom in? You see that there? In here.
Yes.
Oops, I got some blue on there. So the thing is now, how light do these colors get is the issue. And
So are you when you're laying those colors in, right? You're just starting to block everything in.
yeah.
How concerned are you with material texture or surface texture at this
Not yet.
point?
Not yet. I'm just concerned about the planes. The shape of the object to get, you know what I mean? You're just
Yes.
I'll get to the texturing, like you can see even on this toy, they've textured it to a degree, even though we all know Godzilla's even more textured. I won't get as textured. Where the hell is the photos? I got a lot of them here. But you can see there's the texture, which is really kind of cool on his back and everything, right? Little bumps and lumps and all that stuff. And so that's going to end up in there in the picture, only more detailed, given the fact that he's more detailed. The real Godzilla, as opposed to the unreal Godzilla.
Yes. So your that reference was from like the new movies, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But the version you're painting is more of the more of a cross of the original look. Is that correct?
Now this is from
Not
the
the
new
exact,
movies.
not the exact look of the old one, but
Well,
maybe a hybrid.
it's this one. I mean, this is the new movie guy.
Okay.
Basically, that's a proportion I stuck to, and I went and looked at the movies and got the proportions and the look of the guy, you know. And I just like the way the head works better. Because I mean, as much as I love the old stuff, I really do. I really like this new guy, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, the man in the rubber suit looks
Man, wasn't
like
that
a
a
man in a
song, "The
rubber
Man in the
suit.
Rubber Suit"? I always like the. But you remember when the feet came down on the model cars? They would flubber. They would go. They
Yep.
jiggle, you know, like you were made out of rubber. It's come on. They made zillions of those things, man, and they were great. It's like we all have to admit they were great. Of
Yeah. Well, without them, there is the new stuff doesn't exist.
course not. Well,
You
they're the
know,
originators of it. They're
you
the
know,
real people.
all of yeah, that everything that's done now, even on the computer and all of that stuff, you know, those physics engines and everything are still designed on practical real world applications. So
Yeah,
it all had to follow a timeline.
I have no idea what you just said.
Can you hear me or no?
But I didn't understand the language.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was like I didn't quite get what you were saying.
Oh, sorry. The physics engines. Um, just saying, you know, the the computer effects that they use now,
Yeah.
again, still had to follow a timeline of development uh, that they couldn't have come to exist if the original guys that were doing it practically uh, hadn't done it first.
Oh, right. No, of course. It's a whole history that's there.
Yeah.
I really, the thing that really pissed me off back in the day after Star Wars, it's a kind of a two-edged sword. It's really great to see that after you weren't there, but after that first Star Wars movie, special effects, the term special effects became a known term to the general populace. Nobody ever freaking paid attention to that credit on a screen. All they give a shit about was the actors, you know?
Yeah.
Not even the cinematographer. I mean, without a cinematographer, you don't have a movie, you know, but nobody cared. And with special effects, especially these kinds of movies, special effects was, you know, there was the guy and the main person was listed, and then it's probably a couple of his assistants. And they're generally in Hollywood, they're all ASC guys, American Society of Cinematographer guys. They had to belong to the
Yep.
union and everything. And I think that's Harper Goff who designed the Nautilus for Disney's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and he was the art director on the film. He did all the interiors. They wouldn't give him an Academy Award because he wasn't a member of the union, even though the special effects for that film are magnificent and were
Yeah.
nominated and won the Academy Award. Some other union guy had to go and accept the award. He's got the award. But Harper Goff, the brilliant genius designer, creator, never got the award.
Before you start applying the paint, would you mind just showing your two palettes of your warm and cool colors again?
Here is the cool colors, the atomic breath, Godzilla's atomic breath,
Great.
and this is the dragon breath, which will be the fire in the distance too. And I'll make some other different colored fires out there. I don't know what the hell be one until I get there, you know. But the gist of them will be, which is, you know, a real easy breakdown. Cadmium yellow light, cadmium yellow medium, cadmium orange, cadmium red light straight out of the tube. This is I should say non-cadmium. They stopped making cadmium because it causes cancer. Thank God I haven't got cancer. I've been using this all my life. And the non-cadmiums I find aren't as intense. They're not as intense. But so that's right out of the tube. I didn't even put anything in it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's cadmium red light. I should say cadmium red light right out of the tube. put some more here, cadmium red light right out of the tube, and put magenta into it before I go to purple. Because if I was to put the purple directly into the cadmium red light, it'll get too brownish. And I don't want to get too brownish with the thing. I want to keep a, you know, a different
Yes.
color tone there.
Yeah, the hue and the saturation staying a little bit more pure
Yeah,
than muddled down. Someone is asking, have you ever seen The Wizard of Speed and Time?
No. What is it? A movie?
I have no idea. I've never seen it either. What is it, Elijah? So, sorry, neither of us have seen it.
All right, so he's
Nice.
he's grabbing her head here, her neck. See, the arm comes around. I shot the. See, I'm peeling through all these paper here. I shot all these parts. You have to move the figure all around the place to get the lighting right. So I want this for this arm here. You see, where the light's hitting on it, so I can get the gist of it. I mean, you got to fake all this too, but I didn't want to. I had the statue, and it just, you know, it's like nature doing it for you, kind of like thing. Nature can do it much better than I can. And all of it's about, we've talked about this before, kind of like, to a degree, a truth to nature. That's what I'm after with all of these things, you know?
Yeah.
Even though you tweak and twist and do stuff color-wise and value-wise, but nonetheless, there's still a basic truth to nature effort. Let's put it that way, you know?
Yeah, if that guy existed in the real world, this is how light would hit and affect him.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
So, someone's asking about the colors of the blues. You use ultramarine and then the phthalocyanine.
Phthalocyanine blue. Short term, some of the makers just call it phthalo blue, THALO, but it's spelled something like
PTH, yeah.
PTHALOCYANNINE. Big mouthful.
Now the phthalo blues, they come in a green tint and then a blue tint.
Yeah, this is more of a greenish.
Okay.
Tint for this. But it moves towards yellow. You know, that's the idea.
Yep.
Is moving towards yellow, even though I'm not using any yellow. I'm just going straight white. You know, and in some cases, I would use it if I wanted more muted that color. I would go to raw sienna, not yellow, but raw sienna, real tint raw sienna, which is the yellow earth color, and that gives it a slight killing the edge of the intensity of it. If you want to use that for whatever purpose, moons, I'd use it in the moon paintings and stuff. Whatever.
Yeah, and Elijah answers the question that the Wizard of Speed and Time
Yeah.
is a movie about a special effects guy in Hollywood.
Oh, really? When was it? When was it made?
Yeah, when was it made, and is it available on any kind of streaming platform or that? Because I know Greg would certainly like to check that out.
Fantastic. By all means. Well, where are you? Too many pieces of reference.
To answer your question, David Ships, yes, Greg watched it last night and he loved it.
Oh yeah. Come on.
Apparently the movie about the special effects guy is available on YouTube.
So, it is.
Yeah, I'll look it up. If I can find it, I'll share it over, Greg.
Fantastic. Well, I remember going to Dykstra's in Van Nuys. He had a industrial workspace in Van Nuys, California. That's where all the special effects for the Star Wars movie was done. That's where ILM was initially, and Tim and I met him there, and his whole crew. He was working on Battlestar Galactica for television, and there I saw his camera for the first time with the back in the day, it was this. What the hell did they use? It wasn't Mitchell cameras. I forgot what kind of cameras that he had set up on a rig on a track going to a blue screen with a rod out here with the spaceship on it. That the camera moved backwards and forwards, and the ship pitched and yawed, and angles like this, depending, and all these cables running off the camera onto a bank of computers over to the right. It looks like kind of a mad science lab. It was like incredible. You see it, and you go over to this camera, and he's got a metal plate on it, Mr. Dykstra, the Dykstra Flex camera. And of course, he won an Academy Award, and for the genius of his, and he's won many awards for the his achievements and effects and everything. Anyway, that was a hell of an experience. But the beauty of it was too, he wasn't just doing it. Wasn't all. This was before all digital. There was practical effects still being constructed. Mountain ranges, and rocket ships, and miniature rockets, and everything. They were still mixing it all. And you have this whole.
I know some of the directors are starting to bring more practical effects back in and mixing it with the digital stuff.
Yeah.
To I guess render more of an authenticity to the look of the film.
Yeah, there's a feeling about that. I mean, it's handmade for one thing. I like the fact that it's handmade.
Yeah.
It's made, somebody's building and making something and sticking parts together and gluing it and cutting it. You know what I mean? It's being constructed. That's my time frame. That's me. That's what I grew up with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I just like that. That's why, as much as I admire digital work, it's incredible, it's fantastic. I have no interest in doing it, and there's no real purpose in me doing it. I understand that if I was in the business right now, and most young people, got to learn it. You have to know it to stay in business. But that's not what I'm doing right now. So, but here's the thing. Yeah, you want to say something?
No, go ahead.
Where? Okay, there's blue here. So you got to construct this lighting setup. You got the blue hitting it here, and the yellow from the top here. So you got to mix all that and make it look like it's right. Or as Neil Adams said, it's got to look right or be right, right?
Yep. David Ships. Greg paints exclusively in acrylics.
Yep.
And David Salcho. Yeah, I think that was the kind of conversation that we had, that you're not watching King Kong and Godzilla necessarily for the plot.
No.
You just like to see the giant spectacles.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the thing that gets me is how people start to demean that stuff. They'll it's got nothing but car chases. Do you know what the hell the choreography of that stuff is? Just look at it as choreography. Yeah. Dance, movement. It's like it's an art in itself, for God's sakes. There isn't just actors on a stage. I mean, yeah, there's that for sure, but all the rest of it's there. The lighting. Who goes and did they get into the light, the cinematography? Like I watched, there were films back in the 40s when you see them, like The Black Swan with the Tyrone Power. It really hits you how it stood out in terms of the rest of the cinematography of the color at that time, where you go into black shadows and edge lights and everything, and it just creates the whole look and feel of the damn thing. But people, why?
There's different ways to appreciate.
Many ways.
Different, it's like if Citizen Kane is a masterpiece of a film. Oh. However, if you're going there looking for large action disaster spectacle film,
no,
you're going to be disappointed.
What you will be not disappointed in is if you're going to look for magnificent cinematography by Greg Toland,
Okay.
Incredible matte paintings by Chesley Bonestell. Great
It's
music.
remarkable to me that you know those guys' names. That's awesome.
Well, Chesley Bonestell
I'm
was
sure they all appreciate it.
Toland was incredible. Everybody credits Wells alone with Citizen Kane. Well, Herman Mankiewicz wrote the script. It wasn't called Kane yet, but it was all about, you know, this storyline. And Rosebud was all in there already. Wells didn't invent any of that.
No.
He brought and tightened it and personified it with the characters. Yeah, no two ways. And he worked tightly with Toland from what I've read and gathered. It's not like I know, I was never there. But when you read about it, you know. And he said that they didn't have the lens that would have this thing in focus in the foreground and have that in focus out in the distance, you know. And he wanted that stuff, as you get big head shot in clear focus in the foreground, and way in the distance it's all clear and in focus. But Toland went home, he had his own shop, and he ground his own lenses to invent the lens to do that.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
it's amazing. I don't know, geniuses, man, geniuses. I love that knowledge. You know, I love checking into that and hearing about that and reading about that stuff. You know.
I have to appreciate your level of passion that comes through when you're talking about this stuff, when you're talking about the special effects and the film and all that stuff that drove you and Tim to make those movies, you know, when you were a kid.
Yeah.
You know, it's very clear that that passion still just like, you know, burns within you, man.
Oh yeah. It's the same as them. That's why I was so turned down about painting a picture of Godzilla. It's like the past, the present. It's the whole thing. Did you see? Is it coming along here? See what the two light sources there? Yep. And then down here, you know, it'll.
My noise bothering you?
No, Gene's wrapping packages over there.
Yeah.
So
Greg is still, he's working on the other side of a functioning business office.
right
So business has to run.
here, I shot some stuff here that I didn't print yet to get the light on it. Simple as hell. But I got these dragon leg here and the dragon leg there, the underside of the body behind Godzilla. So it's good just to shoot any kind of reference that will give you the lighting on that kind of structural thing, even though obviously the body will get wider, but you can see the lighting on the legs and everything, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Good to use all that stuff that you got.
Now, the one thing, you know, I want to point out, or maybe ask you about, you know, you're gathering your reference from a multitude of sources,
Yeah.
right? However, the one thing you focus on um, is making sure that it still works on your drawing.
Yeah.
I think that there's an easy trap for people to fall into if they, okay, well, let me look at this piece of reference, and then they're copying or painting that reference, but they're not applying it to what's actually happening on their canvas.
Yeah.
And then the result is kind of a hodgepodge
Yeah.
image.
Yeah. You got to be aware that there's a unity to the whole thing, and that it all works together, and it's all accurate to what light you're seeing, and how you're setting up your light, and the structure of the objects. You know, that you're painting.
Yeah.
So here, I want to probably let me see. I don't know what the hell I want to do with doing it. Get rid of this thing. Get different colors here. Yeah, here I squirt down the paint. Need some layer of water on it. So I think I'm gonna do that with that.
Now, what are you brushing in right now, Greg?
The smoke behind what's going on here. You know what I mean? This stuff. Wait a minute. How did it go? I lose track of everything here. Come on. What is it?
So you're painting in smoke?
Well, yeah, the underside of it here. I want to see how dark I want it, or how light I want it, or what the hell ever I want it like.
Now, is that smoke? It'll drop in behind the two creatures.
Yep. I know I want it darker
Okay.
up here. You see? So it's again,
Yeah.
aside from values and lighting and where the lights, you want light against dark and dark against light. You see? Light against dark, it'll get dark against light. It'll get all their legs and body parts underneath will get darker against the light fire background, and they're lit up, so they're light against dark. So that's a whole other big issue. Light against dark, dark against light. You know?
Now, do you ever tinker with that rule at all for effect?
Probably. I can't remember something offhand. I mean, the thing about it is there are rules, you know, and a lot of times then, not rules like some, you know, dictatorial thing, but standards that work, you know?
Yes.
They work. They just seem to work. And you can do that. And my advice to anybody painting would be to learn that stuff. Light and its impact on color. And then when you want to, well, bend the rules, you know, or alter them. Learn how to do it first, and then screw around with the rules, you know?
I wholeheartedly agree with that. And when I talk to younger artists that that are still in school, whether they're in middle school or high school or college or whatever, there's a prevailing attitude, again, not with everybody, but that goes across of, oh, I don't want to do these assignments. I just want to paint what I want to paint.
Uh-huh.
And
Well, we all want to do that.
my response to that is, that's fantastic. Do that on your own time.
Uh-huh.
Right now you're paying for this course to learn specific
Yeah.
things. So in this assignment, focus on those specific things.
Right.
And even if you never use it again in your life, you might just develop a tool that that will come into play later on.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I very much feel that it's important for people to learn those basic things of composition. I mean, I'm still learning them myself.
So am I. I mean, there's no certainty. You have principle. You have certain things you'll learn, and then you apply them, and then you run into other stuff that happens. You think it's going to work, and sometimes it doesn't work, and you have to make adjustments. That happened a couple of times so far for me on these last few paintings I've done. You know.
Yes.
And it may well happen with this as I proceed along. There's a wing there.
I'm gonna address another question here for David Salcho again. Sorry if I'm butchering those last names. Greg has worked on the black canvas, no, not because that's a request of the commission, Sometimes he just enjoys painting on that black ground because the he immediately then puts in the colors of his light, and it essentially it's turning on the light of his scene. And so that's specifically why what he's doing this for today is to show off how just dropping in those light sources right off the bat automatically gives the painting a sense of light.
Right. Because, I mean, what's the alternative? To transfer this onto a white canvas? To transfer this onto a gray canvas? To transfer this onto a...
specifically if you were working on black because it was requested for you to work on black.
Right. Yeah,
I wasn't in for the earlier part of the conversation.
Right. No request. I started painting on black almost as a joke way back when I was doing marble cards. I said, geez, I've never done black velvet art before. Which sort of sounds funny in black velvet because that's always, everybody's looked at that as cheesy. But we'll try it once. I mean, I wouldn't want to try it. You can't make a mistake. It's like scratch board. You can't make a mistake. So no, but I mean, I wonder what that would be like. So I did a bunch of marble cards on black. They were in black and white, and I work with white Prismacolor pencils, and I do a lot of that now. Renderings like that, and I found out it really works well. All your dark is there already. You don't have to sit there with a pencil and darken everything up. You're just putting the light on top of it. You're putting the light on. Click.
Yeah, and particularly, like with this and the Lady Death, it seems like it adds to the atmosphere and the mood of the piece.
Yeah. These I wouldn't paint every picture. I painted a house a few weeks ago. A friend's home here, did a portrait of their house. I certainly didn't start on black because it takes place in the middle of a sunny day. I would never paint on black for that. But these subjects, especially with comic book in this kind of special effects scene, it works beautifully to paint on black.
Dean 13 says, thank you again for the weekly lesson in painting and life. And it's seriously helpful.
Very good. I'm glad. I'm having fun doing this. Jesus told me to try to say that. Well, I am. I mean, look at, I actually got some work done.
Yeah, that reminded me. You've seen Ghostbusters, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
That's the scene with Egon Spengler and Rick Moranis and Janine. I can't remember the actress that played Janine, but she asked Rick Moranis, she's like, would you like some coffee? And he's like, would you like some coffee? And Harold Ramis looks at him and goes, yes, have some. And he just repeats, yes, have some. That's what that exchange with Gene reminded me of right there. Say you're having fun. I'm having fun.
Yes, I am having fun. Thank you very much.
Well, yes, thank you, Annie Potts. That's who the actress is. Thank you.
If I didn't have fun doing this, I wouldn't be doing it. But you see, you can make these pop like that, these red behind there, because this neck will be blue on the top and the head will be blue here. That's cool. I'm kind of, so at this point it looks okay to me, I'll arrive at a point with this picture, like I do with every damn picture I paint. I'll look at it, I'll say, oh man, that's a piece of crap. And you have these fluctuating things that happen. I'm sure it happens with every artist, right? Where you think it looks good, and then you say, oh man, that's horrible. Who am I kidding? So far, I mean, I think it's working,
Now, do you find that when you hit that point of where you feel like you're looking at a disaster, that it just requires a little bit more attention to then put everything right in its place?
Yeah. And it's terrible to leave a painting at that stage too, because you walk away with this horrible feeling and you're down on the piece and everything. So I try to, I think we've talked about this before. I try to get to a point where, and hopefully it's by the end of the day when I'm ready to quit anyway, that I get to a point where I'll glance at it, you know, and I'll say, well, that looks okay. It looks okay. Then I'll turn the light off, turn all the lights off, and I won't look at it again. I'm back here. I go to my drawing board or wherever, go upstairs. I'll turn away from it. I won't look at it because I know I think if I glance at it again, it'll look like shit that next time. But the last time it looked okay, so I'm leaving it. I feel okay about that.
Okay.
Might sound freaking insane, but that's the way it works.
So,
So here you see, I think there's this grayish blue background.
Yeah.
And the edge of the red fire, I think you got to go with some magenta in it to make the blend. You know what I mean? Because it's
okay.
like the edge will be a little transparency of the fire, so it'll be against
Yes.
bluish background, and I think some magenta along the side of it. I gotta get more flamey with that, I mean, that's just blocked in there. It's not gonna be that solid, like that. It'll be fiery. And the thing is, how far down does this light travel? Light travels and then gets duller, weaker as it moves away from an object, and that's generally kind of like an eyeball thing. You just sort of make it till it looks right,
Yeah.
As this blue streaks down his body, you'll see it on the top of his legs. You'll see a little bit on the top of this leg. If you see where you got to see where the light's coming from, and of course it'll get darker, darker, darker. The brightest areas are going to be right in here, and that's a kind of feeling thing, I guess. Like here, let me see. Good Godzilla. See, they're blue on the legs here, huh? Put some blue on there. The blue. The thing is, too, I mix, while all these colored lights are on this guy, I'm talking about Godzilla, not the dragon.
Yep.
The darkest areas, like even in the photos where you see here, where there's no light, there's backlight here. I'm not doing that. I had a purple light because I didn't have another red light or a yellow light, so I used purple just to give me a distinction. But that's all going to go with a fiery color. But
Okay.
you see the areas in here where it gets dark, where there's no light on it?
Yep.
That's the true color of Godzilla in the shadow area. The true color of Godzilla in the shadows, where there's no light on him. And the true color of Godzilla is he's basically a gray. This is like a cool gray, or warmish gray, whatever you want to do. So I have to mix up the color of him in the shadows, which I'm calling it this burnt umber with purple in it. I'm saying that's that. I don't know if it's right. We'll see what the hell. That's the color of the shadow here, which may not even look like a distinction to anybody as I paint it on, but it's there, It's slightly warmer. It's a little bit warmer than the deep purple. It's still very dark, but it's slightly warmer. And the thing about that is, you mix into it your other cool color, in that rather than going to straight purple, which will be too bright, the purple will show up in this transition here as too bright a purple. You get me? It's got to be a little more
Okay.
muted, and that does it with the burnt umber in it. It sort of takes the edge off of it, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
So there, and then you go back to the red color, the fire color, which is a neat color. It's cadmium. This color, right? The value of this color now is the cadmium red, light with magenta in it. Right here, that's what this is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll come up a brighter edge light on it because this will get brighter out here. I need to make that. You see that backlight again? I love backlighting because you can make the distinctions. You can make the things stand out, separate, and make it read. You know,
Yeah.
make it visually read, and you understand what the hell's going on. It doesn't turn into a mushy pile of stuff. You know what I mean?
It helps create the silhouette of the figure.
Right, the silhouette thing again. Keeping a nice strong silhouette. That I mean, you got like a fraction of a second to make this to grab people's attention. It's got to work. If you I think I'm not saying that all pictures are that way. My thing with these kinds of images is I like to create it so that it instantly registers. Boom, right off the bat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That you don't need to. Wait a minute, what's going on there? I think if you got to like not quite see what's happening, it doesn't work. It should be instantly readable. You know?
Gotcha. Particularly with this kind of image.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's a action fight scene. You know, you don't want to be obscure.
Yeah. So Dean 13 says that if someone ever creates a light emitting paint, you would absolutely lose your shit.
I like that idea. But you see how you can make the leg stand out now. There's the dragon leg here, which will be darker. The edge light of the dragon leg here is lighter with the backlight. I don't know if that registers yet. And then you can do it here. And there's the tail of the guy in the background wrapping. A little too thick. Wrapping around. The tail wraps around this way behind the dragon. And then Godzilla's tail. Wait a minute, I gotta squirt the paint here.
Someone asked Cole C. He absolutely loves the new Marvel Hildebrandt book. What were your thoughts on it, man?
The book? Is that what you
Yeah.
said? The book? Oh man, that's a
the
long time
Marvel book.
coming. That book took years. That book is years in the making. Gene started to work on that book when we did the card set.
26 years ago.
26 years in the making, on and off and on and off. And it went through all kind of morphs and transformations, and finally it's out. And I think IDW did a fantastic job of printing and packaging it.
Yeah.
And Gene did an incredible job of putting it all together. All I did was just sit there and blabber for the narration, you know. But Gene did it's all Gene's work. It's like 99 and 9/10% her work. And she did an incredible job, in my opinion. And I think a lot of other,
the printing and everything came out fantastic.
yeah, beautiful job. See, I love this. So you get this underside now of his tails. Then I have all these rocks flying and everything, you know. He's bashing all this shit up all over the place. And this will get dusty here. That'll kind of like be, I'll have to go over that. Getting all the shapes in first. And then you want to get the kicked up stuff all on the ground. You know what I mean? Like it's all being dusted up and everything.
Yeah.
So then here is that, can you see this so far? What's happening? So then you got the fire is coming all behind them, like, so you can do all this edge lighting and do the front of his leg from that. This hit the top. The blue will hit the top, and those big Godzilla feet. I love the huge feet. You know, the way they designed him with these giant legs.
Yeah.
His movement in the new film is incredible. The motion, the character motion, the clawing and the arm movement and everything, incredible. I love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna
We
watch
both,
that one with my kids either tonight or later this weekend.
I definitely am going to
So
watch it again. Gene and I both went nuts over it. Right, Gene?
Absolutely. Colin is my guy.
It's hard to choose
gonna,
sides, you know.
Not for me.
Well, Kong is the older, yeah. Kong's always been the main man. Let's be honest about it. I mean, for me, you know, he's
yeah.
and I love Godzilla. Don't get me wrong. He's a great character.
I'm gonna address a question. Alan, no, Greg does not paint with oils. He tried them out a long time ago, but the drying time just drove him nuts.
Couldn't deal with it.
I'm doing what?
The drying time for oils.
I'm the judge.
Steve Bunn says hi, Gene.
Hey, Steve. So, I think the orange could be a little more. Think a hair more, less white in it. A little more straight out of the can.
Greg, are you familiar with the artist by the name of Noriyoshi Urai?
Nope.
Okay, so, yeah, someone was asking if you had seen his Godzilla paintings.
No. You see, that's the thing.
Or Godzilla-like paintings.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I didn't want to do that with this. I didn't want to look at anybody's other paintings because I didn't want to have it kind of like, first of all, number one, probably depressed the crap out of me. They were so fantastic that there's no way that I could ever come up. You know what I mean? Or
I do know what you mean.
you know what I'm saying? Oh my God, what the hell's the point? Look at this. This thing is magnificent. No, I don't want to feel that way, and I don't want to have it influence any ideas I may have. You know,
Yeah.
and that's a kind of a tough road to walk of wanting to see everything and not wanting to see everything. I remember Orson Welles used to advise younger people, want to be directors at least, as he got older, do not look at other people's movies. Which is kind of, yeah, I get it. Well, he did. I'm sure he didn't do that. I'm sure he saw movies when he was young, when he made Citizen Kane. He was, what, 22? It was the first movie he ever made. And one of the greatest films of all time, which is, by virtue of the fact that he didn't know what he wasn't supposed to do. I guess that's the idea. You know what I mean? Don't look at other stuff or listen to people because they're going to tell you, this is the way we do it. This is how it's done.
Yeah.
Where he walked in, like he didn't know it was done and wasn't know what he wasn't supposed to do. Which, of course, pissed a lot of people off. But, so I kind of get that to a degree, But, whatever. I don't know.
Unless you're doing everything so wrong that you're costing everybody a lot of money.
Yeah. This is, see, the fun of this, I use these flat brushes, like, the flat brush, right?
Yep.
For basically blocking in. And then when I get down to the tighter stuff, it'll be around what they call rounds, which is to say the pointed brushes, For this kind of, I'll get into all the stuff.
Hey, Keith,
But it gets fatter brushes down to tighter little brushes.
you do know that it's 2506, right?
No, I didn't.
Holy shit.
So, I mean, it's fine with me if you guys just keep going. I just didn't know if you had a chicken you needed to tend to.
Yeah, I'm looking out my window. They're still clucking around in the yard, but they're heading towards the house.
Look at this. Yeah, I actually got work done.
God, thank God.
Looks all right, doesn't it? Does it look all right?
It does. It does. It looks nice.
It does.
Yeah.
It is looking great so far. So yeah, man, I am going to sign off. Are you going to keep working tonight, Greg? Are you signing off too?
No, I'll
What are you
probably
doing?
sign off.
No, he's going to sign off.
Okay,
And,
very good.
I'm gonna thank everybody for watching this, and I hope some of the information is useful, and whatever.
Only God knows.
Are you going to continue on this painting next week, or what's,
Yes.
Yeah.
do you have a plan?
Yeah, I'll keep working on it, but I want to save enough of it to work on next week too. You know, I'll keep working on it because
Okay, cool.
this is like a, you know, this is gonna take time. There's 5
Yeah,
dragons to
this
paint
is not
here.
this is not a short
Yeah,
piece
it's
of
not
art.
a quickie, you know.
A quickie. Oh my God. Okay. On that note, Keith, let's thank everybody.
Everybody's
for coming.
chiming in and saying thank you, Greg. So yes, if you like what we're doing, if you like watching Greg paint and hearing him talk, please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button, and please, you know, all the cliched stuff, share it around with your friends to get the word out there. We truly appreciate everybody tuning in. We're seeing a lot of familiar faces come back every week, which is great. We really, really like that. And seeing our numbers go up, also fantastic. To check out more of the work, you know what? Go to spiderwebart.com. You see the link down there in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Thanks, everybody, and have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye, folks. Thanks for coming.
Okay, bye everyone. Thank you. Appreciate it. If any
Bye.
of you are looking for a commission, you should call me.
Talk to you, Keith.
Good night.
Yep. See you, Greg. Bye.